Hey everyone, thanks for joining and sorry for the delay. There has been a technical issue. So I'll just start the session in few more minutes. Let's wait for more people to join. We have 43 people in the live right now and now it is 55 and it's growing. So let's wait few more minutes. 11:25, I will start. That's it. All right, so I'll be starting the session in 2 more minutes. Sorry for the delay. So, yeah. Hey everyone, so my bad, I'm actually on mute. Okay, that's totally gone wrong. So I was just talking about the overview of today's session. So we'll be discussing this topics that we will be discussing today. And in the last session, we have discussed about functions and introduction to JavaScript, like data types, operations, mathematical operations, comparison operations, and functions. Most importantly, we discussed about functions in the last session. So in today's session, we'll be talking about DOM manipulation in JavaScript, and we will be building a to-do application, and we will talk about next steps in learning JavaScript, and so on. We'll talk about all of these topics today. Okay. Okay, perfect. So, yep, we'll move on. Okay, so first we'll talk about what is DOM, guys. So DOM is basically used. I mean, this is for you. For you guys, DOM is the next level of web development because so far we have been building static web applications. Like we have built basic web applications like uh, something like using images in our website, text, paragraphs, and tables, and all of those. All of these are static. It is only for reading purpose, right? It's not dynamic. So using DOM, you can make your website dynamic. What do I mean when I say dynamic? Good example is when you click on a button, some operation should happen. It could be a calculator application where you have a lot of buttons and you can perform calculations on the website. Okay, there is an interaction that is happening between the user and the website, and that interaction is possible with the help of DOM. Okay, now what exactly? Okay, you don't have to worry about the definitions right now. Okay, there's a very small definition over here. So DOM is a representation of the web page that JavaScript can interact with. Okay, it turns all the HTML elements into objects that can be manipulated. So that's a hardcore definition. You don't have to worry about it right now because we are going to break this definition into many parts, and I'm going to re-explain this again when we practically implement the DOM in the further uh, slides. Okay, for now, just bear this in the mind that DOM is a representation of a web page. Okay, and JavaScript can be used to interact with this DOM. Okay, we'll talk about more in the upcoming slides. Okay, now we have another definition that is easy to go. Okay, and it goes like this. Document Object Model Platform is a platform that allows JavaScript to dynamically access and update the content, structure, and style of a document. Okay, I'm gonna read this once again because I hope this is a very simple definition and it can make sense. It can make sense to all of you guys. So document object model, which is DOM, and it's a platform. Okay, it's basically a collection of different things. I will talk about that later. But DOM is basically a platform that allows JavaScript. Okay, DOM is allowing JavaScript to dynamically access, update the content, structure, and style of a document. Okay, we will talk about what exactly is a document. So here, if you notice, everything is fine in this definition except it says that it is going to dynamically update the content, structure, and the style of this document. So what exactly is this document? We will talk about this document now. Okay, I hope this small definition is clear for you guys. You don't have to memorize this. Okay, we'll talk about more in the upcoming slides. Okay. Now, guys, if you notice, initially we have HTML files, right? Now, if I go to my, let us suppose if I go to my project files, and these are my start the web project files. I've been working in this directory since a long time. Okay, so if I open my HTML, learn HTML folder, so here I'm having my project files, right? I have images and I have this images and yep, I have this index.html. So guys, in order to run this website, what I have to do is I basically have to double click on this one. Okay, so you see the output going on the web browser, right? You can see the output, right? So if I click on index2.html, you can still see the output. Okay, that's perfect. Okay, now what you're doing is you're basically passing this index.html files. You're opening this index.html files in the Chrome browser. It could be any browser. It could be Edge, Microsoft Edge, Bing, DuckDuckGo, whatever that is. But for now, it is just I made my system default as Chrome browser to open this index.html files. Okay, you can also use it. You can also use Edge and any other browser. Okay, now let me show you what's happening behind the scenes. You have this HTML files, and when you open it, when you run it in your Chrome browser, okay, this document is going to be generated. Okay, I hope you get that, right? So basically you have this HTML files and you just double tap on this one, you run this in your web browser, .html files, and what browser does is that browser is going to create this document. This is a document, okay, created by browser. At least this document, we will talk about this. There is nothing complicated here, guys. Okay, so don't stress upon just looking at this document with a lot of things happening around in this white color image. Okay, nothing's happening here. It makes a lot of sense. I'll explain you guys what's happening. But for now, the overview of this slide is that you basically have HTML files and you run it in the browser, and the final output is the document that is generated by the browser. Okay, browser takes input as HTML files and it generates a document as an output. That's it, simply put. Okay, now now we'll talk about what is this document all about. Okay, so I have a sample code on my right hand side. So if you can see, I have opened a HTML tag, and then I have my body tag here. Okay, I have my head section. Okay, we will leave the head section. Okay, now we have this body section. We have heading, paragraphs, and all of this stuff. Now, can you guys try to compare the right hand side code that you wrote on VS Code with the left hand side document? So this is a document, guys, and this document has been generated by the browser. Okay, now what is this document all about? See guys, if you notice, there is a top level root parent element called as document. Okay, inside this there is a root element called as HTML. Now if you compare this with the right hand side, there is we also have a root element called as HTML tag. Okay, see guys, when I say HTML tag or HTML element, I am referring to the same meaning. Okay, both of these words, HTML tag, HTML element, are used interchangeably. Okay, there is no difference. Both of them are same. Element and tag are same. Okay, so now here it says root element is HTML, and we also have this root element HTML on the right hand side, and then we have children inside this root element. Okay, so as you can notice, this is a top level element. HTML is a top level element, or the root element. Okay, inside this we have children like head section and body section. Okay, and that's what is happening here, right? So we have document inside which we have HTML root element, inside which we have head section and body section, and then inside this head section we have title and we have text as my title, and inside this body section we have anchor tags, and we have heading tags, we have paragraph tag, we have many other tags. So let me just erase the yep. So guys, so if you notice, the difference between this one and this one is that this is basically organized in form of JavaScript objects. JavaScript objects. Whereas this is just pure HTML. This is just pure HTML present inside your .html file. That's it. That's the difference. Nothing much. Okay. So, and we call this one as a document. That's what. Okay. So file, browser will take in this HTML files and it's going to give out this document. And what is this document all about? It is basically a JavaScript objects. It contains JavaScript objects. It's a you can say it as a it's a form of JavaScript objects. We'll talk about more about this document. Okay, and whereas this is the HTML code. So all of your HTML code has been converted into this DOM by your by whom? By your web browser. By your web browser. Perfect. Great. Okay. There might be some confusions here and there. I will clear it out in the next slide. Okay. Now we will talk about something called as methods and properties. Okay, you will get more clarity on what exactly is DOM in this slide. Okay, please catch up with me. Okay, I'm going to go very slow over here. Okay, uh, is generated by your HTML file. So that's what we spoke about, right? Your browser will take in the HTML file and it will generate the DOM document. It will generate the document. Okay, and but guys, do you understand the difference between DOM and a document? Document is just a document, guys. It consists of JavaScript objects, but DOM is different. It is called as document object model. Okay, DOM is different from document. Okay, document is something that is generated by the web browser. DOM is basically a collection of methods and properties. Okay, you can call it as a method collection or a family of methods and properties. Where and JavaScript will is a programming language that we can that will make use of this DOM methods and properties to interact with the uh, document that has been generated by the web browser, guys. So I hope that is very much clear. I made this animation as intact as possible so that you guys will understand. I'm gonna revise this once again. Firstly, document is gonna be generated by your web browser. Okay, after it passes the HTML files, and that's basically what you call it as a document. And document is different from DOM, guys. DOM is a document object model, and document object model consists of methods and properties. Okay, and JavaScript is a programming language. It's PL. Okay, PL stands for programming language, and programming language will you make use of the methods and properties to interact with the DOM. I'm sorry, to interact with the document. Okay, now as simple as that, nothing much. Okay, so I hope you guys got you guys understood what exactly is DOM and document. So you need to understand DOM and document both are two different things. Okay, so we are already 10 minutes into the session. Perfect. So we just understood the basic concept of what exactly is a DOM in 10 minutes. That's that's great. Now, guys, we'll talk about methods and properties. So, in the previous slide, we spoke about DOM as a collection of methods and properties, right? Which will be used by JavaScript to interact with the document that has been generated by the web browser. Okay, but what are these methods and properties in DOM? Okay, see, you don't have to memorize this stuff because we will. I expect you guys to not know any of this. You don't need a prerequisite about what are methods and properties in DOM. I'll be explaining it from scratch. Okay, this slide is just an overview of what are the different methods and properties and how do they look like. Okay, so these are some commonly used methods in DOM, guys. So we have get element by ID and append child, remove child, and etc. And then we have some commonly used HTML DOM properties, which are inner HTML and all of those. So there are many other, so there are many other DOM properties, guys. So there are a lot of DOM properties and DOM methods. But for now, in this session, we will be mostly using all of these methods a lot. Okay, this is just to give you an idea of how exactly a method looks like and how exactly a property looks like. And I hope most of the people who are in this session have already have an idea of Java programming language. I'm not sure if everyone knows it, but so if you have an idea of Java programming language, there also we have properties and methods. So these are like very similar to that entities in Java. Okay, so we'll just move further in to the next slide. Okay, you don't need the knowledge of Java to learn about DOM, guys. I just gave that as a reference. Okay, because methods and properties are the words that are mostly used in most of the programming languages. Okay, and yeah, we'll go to the next slide. So why not let's start implementing DOM then. We are already done with a lot of theoretical part, and we'll now just try to practically implement DOM. All right. So I have a problem statement here. So it says add text to heading tag using JavaScript and DOM. Okay. You already know how to create a heading tag, right? You do it something like this, hello, and then you close the tag. So this is a heading tag, right? And this is created using HTML, just raw HTML. But here in the problem statement, they're asking us to add text. which is this one. Hello is the text that I just created, to the heading tag. So we have this heading tag here. So they wanted us to add text to this heading tag using JavaScript and DOM. Okay, perfect. This is a good place to start. Let's see how we can do this one. Okay, now I will be going to the folder that I'm usually work with. Okay, if you make sure you all have this folder created, which is start the web, and inside which try to keep maintain all of the folders here from the previous sessions as well. Okay, it will be easy for you to refer in the future. Great. Now I'm gonna create a new folder, call it learning DOM and JS. Okay, you can name it whatever the way that you want. And now I'm into this directory. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna click on this top bar here and I'm gonna type in CMD. CMD stands for command line interface, uh, command prompt. You can call it command prompt. So as you can see, my folder has been opened in the command shell. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna type in code space dot. So this will basically open Visual Studio Code with the directory that we are just in. Okay, so the directory is very empty right now. Okay, so and that's what is open on the VS Code. Now let's try to create a new index.html file by typing in index.html. Okay, I'm gonna increase the size of the screen. Okay, I hope you guys can read this text which says press Ctrl plus I to ask GitHub Copilot chart to do something. So just ignore this if this shows up on my screen because I'm just using GitHub Copilot. Yep. So just ignore it. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna generate the boilerplate of HTML. So I hope you guys know about the boilerplate of HTML. Uh, I'll just press exclamatory mark and I'll just click on this exclamatory mark suggestion that has been given by the VS Code. Okay, I'll just click on this first one. Now, as you can see, the boilerplate has been generated. Okay, and I'm gonna remove the first two lines. It's not needed for now. Okay, and yep, so this is pretty much the boilerplate of HTML. So we have discussed about the boilerplate of HTML way back in the very first session, right? Okay, now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just create a heading, call it, I'm gonna say, welcome to start the web final episode. Perfect. You guys know about heading tags, right? It is very simple. These are just the way how you create headings inside your HTML. And H1 is the top highest font size in headings. H7 is the least. Okay. Now, in order to run this page, guys, I wanted my browser to run this page, index.html page. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna I'm gonna click on this go live option that is present on my bottom. Okay, and I'll just leave it. Browser will automatically open. You don't have to do anything after clicking on the fine go live button. Okay, so here if you notice the text has shown up. Perfect. Now this is great. But that's not exactly what we have to do, right? So we have to use JavaScript and DOM to create the text content. Okay, let's do let's do it. Okay, it may not make much sense for you right now, but let me show you how it works. See, guys, ultimately JavaScript here. So in order to write some JavaScript, I wanted to create a new file called as JS. Okay, app.js. You can call it whatever you want. You can call it index.js. You can call it anything. Okay, so inside this app.js, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna console.log app.js. Okay, this should be fine. Now I hope you guys know what is console.log. So it basically prints the text that is present inside this log function. Okay, so I have to see app.js text in my browser. So I'll open my browser. I will open the developer tool. So you can open the developer tools by right clicking and uh, clicking on, or there is a shortcut which is F12 on your keyboard. You have to click F12. Okay. Now, as you can see, I cannot see any text console login over this on my console. Make sure you're in the console tab. Okay. This is a console over here. Okay, nothing is there because we did not import the script file that we have created. Okay, so we have to import the script file, guys. App.js is something that has to be imported in the index.html file. So the best place to import your index.html is just above your closing body tag. So when you notice this closing body tag, you make sure you use the script tag right above this, where you can import your app.js. Okay, and you can import your use your app.js like this. So I'm basically opening a script tag. I have an opening tag and I have a closing tag here. And then what's happening here is that I just used a attribute called as src, and I have provided the path to the app.js, which is present right in the same folder as that of index.html. That's it. Great. Now I should see. No, I'm not seeing any. Let me just check what's the issue. Console.log. Okay, I'm gonna refresh this. Okay, I can see app.js console logging. Okay, which means we just successfully imported the script file into our index.html file. Now, if I can change this text to script files imported successfully. Now, if I go here, now I hope you guys can see the console log is happening. So, which means the script files have been successfully imported. I hope you guys are following along with me, and let me know if you guys have any questions so far. Great. I'll just go over the chart for a few minutes. Okay, I'll just continue then. And how do we do that? So, and I'm gonna use the document. Okay, document. Okay, I have to disable it. Okay, great. Now, yes, that there. Now, what I'm gonna give this heading tag a ID. Okay, I'm gonna give it an ID. What I can do is, so firstly, let me just remove. Click refresh. Refresh is not needed, but I guess this requires a restart. Okay. So as you can see, nothing shown up because the scripts has been executed, but nothing has shown up because that should be the output because there's nothing present inside this heading tag. Now we will use JavaScript to add some text within our index.html. Okay, let's see how that works. Okay, so I'm gonna use a document and I'm gonna use a method called as get element by ID, and this is basically a method, guys. And as you can read this method, it says get element by ID. Element is, what is an element? It's basically any HTML element. It could be a HTML tag, HTML element. It could be a H1 tag. It could be a image tag or anchor tag or any other tag. Okay. Now inside this get element by ID, I'm gonna use single quotes or double quotes. You can use anything. I'm gonna mention the name of the tag that I've just created. I have created a H1 tag with an ID called as heading. Okay. I'm going to copy this heading and I'm going to paste in between this one. Okay, document is a document that has been generated by the browser, guys. So I hope you guys understood about how browser will generate the document. Now what we are doing is that we are just hopping into this, parsing into this document that has been generated by the browser, and we are using this method from the DOM which says get element by ID, and we are basically I'm going to create a const. Oh, okay. All right. So I hope I'm audible right now. Okay, great. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just create a variable, call it heading, and give this the value that I've just created. Okay. Now let's try to console log this. Okay. Let me just go and see. So guys, as you can see, the first console log script files executed successfully. Let me just remove this. I know longer log the heading. So I'm just fetching what I'm doing here is that I'm just fetching the element with an ID called as heading, which is the h1 tag, and I have given it a variable called as heading, and I'm console logging this heading, and this is my output. So this is basically a heading, and these are all the properties that can be used for this h1 tag. We will talk about that later, but for now we got a perfect output. Okay, great. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to use one of the properties called as inner HTML. Okay, if you go back to the Visual Studio in the PPT slides, I have shown you guys about a method called as inner HTML. Now, if you can read this text, it says the text value of a node. Okay, and I hope that made sense. You can use that property to populate the text within a HTML tag. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the heading variable that has been created above, and I'm going to use a property called as dot inner HTML. As you can see, we now I can pass some text. Okay, I will say welcome to start the web final session. That's it, guys. That's it. Now, if I go back to my boom, a text within a heading tag using just JavaScript and document object model. Okay, I'll give you a brief overview of what we just did right now. We use the document that has been generated by the web browser, and like I said, DOM consists of family of methods and properties, and one of the method that we have used is get element by ID, and this method basically takes in the name of the ID that has been created. Okay, the ID name is heading, and we use the same heading text over here. And then overall, I just assigned all of this to a new variable inside JavaScript, and I have used a property called as inner HTML on this variable. Okay, and I have set the text to welcome to start the web final session, and that's it. I don't have to console log this. Only 2 lines of code. That's it. And that's how you basically create a text within a HTML tag. And yep, so this is the solution to this one. You guys can check out this PPT later on. Great. The text content within a paragraph or heading when you click a button. Now this sounds interesting, right? Let me read that once again. It says I have to update the text when a user clicks on a button. Now that gets interesting, right? You are trying to make the website more dynamic right now. Okay, it's not that advanced, but it is very easy to do it. Okay, now we have to basically create a button, guys. Okay, let me go back to my index.html, and I wanted to create a button. Okay, I'll just type in butt1, click to update. So whenever the user clicks on this button, the heading text will be updated. Now, as you can see, I have this click to update. Yeah, I have this click to update button showing up on my website, which is perfect. Now, if I click on this, nothing really happens right now. Okay, nothing just happens. Okay, now what it says that I need to update the text content when a user clicks on the button. Now this is where the JavaScript and DOM comes in. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a function that is going to be executed whenever the user clicks on this button. Okay, I hope you guys understood about what are functions, right? Okay, functions are basically a scope of it, basically encloses few lines of code, and those lines of code are going to be executed only when somebody calls that function. Okay, now in our scenario, when somebody clicks on this button, I want to execute that function. Okay, but for now, let's try to create a very sample function like function update title. Simple as that. You basically have to mention the name of the function here, and you have a parenthesis and then curly brackets. Now this is the function looks like. So you have to use the function keyword followed by the name of the function in Pascal naming convention, and then followed by a parenthesis and a curly brackets. That's it. Now I'm just going to simply console log saying button is clicked. Okay, now I just created a function, and whenever somebody calls this function, guys, what will happen is that it will basically console log button is clicked on my console. Okay, now let me show you guys what. Okay, I'm able to click the button, but nothing really happens. That is because we need to add a e to the button. We also have to tell the button, hey button, and somebody clicks you. And make it look better. Okay, now if I click on update, as you can see on the right hand side, button is being clicked. The number of times I click the button, the the number over here is being updated. Those many times I'm clicking this. I'll just refresh and I'll just click it once again. So as you can see, the button is clicked. So now that's perfect. Okay, we are taking baby steps, guys. We are not directly solving this problem. It's always recommended to follow some baby steps before you actually deep dive into finishing the problem statement. Now coming back here, we basically have to update the text content within a paragraph or a heading when you click on a button. So right now we are just console logging some text to the console when somebody clicks on this button. but we will just try to update the title that we have created. So what was the title we have created? This one. Okay, this is the title that we have created. Okay, I'm just gonna update the title. I will say title needs to be fixed. Okay, so I have an output here saying title needs to be fixed. Now whenever the user clicks on this click to update button, the title will be fixed to a new text. Now how is that possible? Now I'm gonna just add more lines into this update title on the button, right? As simple as that. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fetch this heading, guys. Okay, inside this function. Okay, I'm gonna say heading dot inner HTML is equal to, let's say, welcome to start the web final session. That's it. What I've done is I've used the property called as inner HTML on the variable called as heading, and this variable is nothing but a element by ID as heading, and we are just updating the text over here. Now if I'll just click Control S and I'll just go back to my browser, and if I click to update, the changes should happen. That's it. Nothing much. Okay, I just updated the text. So I'll just refresh it once again. I'll just click to update. Now the text has been updated. That's it, guys. It's you need to be patient over here. Okay, so we are not trying to build the straight Amazon clone website or something like that. Most of the tutorials on the internet are mostly like that. And yeah, in this session, I'll just directly focus on the basics that you need so that you can watch any YouTube video later on so that you'll understand that core concepts. Usually they don't discuss the core concepts that I'm discussing here. Okay, great. I'll just remove the console log and yep. Now there's a title and that needs to be fixed. So yeah, that's it. Now we will move on to the next problem statement, which is okay. So this is basically the code solution to the problem statement that we just did. Now we have another one, which is creating a new HTML element using DOM and JavaScript. Now this is the next level. Initially, we just spoke about how to add a text content to our heading tag, and then how to update the text content on a click on when you click on a button. And now we will just try to see how to create a new HTML element using DOM and JavaScript. Now this HTML element could be anything, guys. It could be a paragraph, heading, or it could be anything. Okay, we will see how to do it. Okay, all right. So right now I'm here, and I'm going to create a button. Okay. Okay. I want. Okay. Let me just do this. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create a paragraph. Const new para. Okay. And I'm going to give it an equal to sign, and I'm going to say document dot. There is a method which is called as create element. I'm not sure if I have discussed that previously. Let me just show it to you guys. For methods and properties in JavaScript, we'll just talk about them. Okay. Now in this case, I'm going to use a method called as create element. Okay. And this is a method, and this basically takes in the name of the tag that you wanted to create. So as you can see, VS Code has prompted me with all of the tags that you can use. I can create a body tag, I can create a BR tag, I can create a button, and then I can also create any. These are all the tags in HTML, guys. So there is also a P tag, right? Now I'll just click on this P tag. So this basically creates a paragraph tag. Okay, now if I try to console.log this new paragraph, if I go back to my VS Code, as you can see, the P has been outputted on my console, but that's not what we need, right? We have to create a paragraph on our website. Okay, what I'm gonna do is in the next line I have to use a property called as inner HTML. Okay, dot inner HTML, same as that what we have created, what we have done in the previous problem statement. Now here new para dot inner HTML is equal to new para is created. That's it. Now if I go back, now if I click refresh, um, nothing really happens, right? So that's because we just created the p tag, we just created the text within this p tag, but we also have to insert this p tag within the body tag of our HTML. Okay, this is a three-step process, guys. First, you need to create the tag, whatever the tag that is using the create element tag, and you need to update the text content inside that tag, and then you have to add this tag to your body of your HTML. And how is that possible? So it is possible using this method called as document.body.appendChild. Okay. So we are just accessing the document. Let me explain you what's happening in that line of code. We are accessing the document dot, and inside this document, okay, and then this new append child will basically take in the variable that I've just created, which is new para. That's it. I think this should work. So as you can see, it is working. New para is created. Okay, which one? So it looks much bigger now. Okay, perfect. Okay, so I hope you guys understood. So this is a place where we are using a lot of new methods. Okay, so initially we just created a new heading tag, new element, and then we just created updating how to, we just learned how to update this heading inside text inside this heading using a function and a button, and then we just learned how to basically create a new tag. Okay, and here there are two things most important is create element. One thing is you have to create the element, and then the second thing is you have to inject that element into your uh, DOM. That's it. I hope you guys understood that point. Great. So if you have any questions so far, or if you want me to re-explain any of the stuff that I just discussed, just let me know, guys. Okay. And yeah, moving on to the next thing, which is create a new HTML element when a button is being clicked. Now that is interesting, right? So it is asking us to create a new HTML element. So we are going level by level, guys. Okay, easy to hard. Okay, at first we have done a very small task, and now we have done a big task. Now we will do a much bigger task. So the bigger task is very simple. You just have to create a new element when somebody clicks on a button. Okay, but for that I have to create a button. Okay, I'll just create a button and click to create new element. Okay, if I go to my browser, as you can see, I have my button over here. Okay, that is perfect. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add an on click event listener here. Oh, even before that, let me just create the function. Okay, so whenever the HTML tag, okay, create new element. Okay, what I'm gonna do, I'll just use curly brackets, and first things first, I just want to create a new document dot create element. So like I said, I wanted to create a new heading. Let it update this heading. Initially it is going to be empty. I have to use heading dot inner HTML, and I have to set the text to new heading 2, and finally I just have to inject this element inside the document. Okay, I have to mention the name of the variable. That's it. So now if I click on this button, let me just refresh this one. Okay, let me just restart this session once again. Uh, there we go. Okay. I'll go to my index.html and I'm gonna restart this once again. Okay. I'll just click on F12. Okay. I realized what's happening here because I just created a button, but then I did not pass in the function. Okay. I did not pass in the function to this button. I need to add an event listener. So that's why no matter how many times I'm clicking on this one, nothing is happening, right? So let me just go to the button and use an attribute called as onClick. Okay. And I'll pass in the name of the function. So whenever the user clicks on this button, which is click to create a new element, this function is going to be executed. Okay, this function will be executed. Okay, I hope you guys got it. So as the number of times I click this button, those many times that heading will be created. Okay, if I keep clicking as many times as I want, those many number of times the heading will be created. Okay, so yep. So I hope you guys understood so far. Continue learning, self-learning on your own after the end of the session. Okay, great. Now let's try to do a very small mini project, and then we will proceed further with learning about the next steps in learning JavaScript, and then next steps in learning React.js, and next steps in and how to get a client as a web developer, and what are the skills that you need to basically start earning some money on the internet. Okay. Anyway, so let's do a very small mini project, which is let's create a to-do application using HTML, Tailwind CSS, and JavaScript. I hope you guys know about Tailwind CSS in the last session and maybe 2 sessions back. In the second session or third session, we discussed about Tailwind CSS. So we will just try to recap it once again in this session, and let's try to build a to-do application out of it. Great, let's proceed further then. So the first thing is how to use Tailwind in your project. So I think I did not explain you guys about how to use Tailwind in your project, right? In the last session, I just used the browser inbuilt IDE for Tailwind and I just used it. But let me show you how to actually use Tailwind in your project. Okay. But even before that, let me go back to my folders. Okay. And inside learning DOM and JS, I'm gonna create a new folder. Call it. Uh, I will call it to do application. This should be fine. Now if I go back, I can see a to-do application. Now inside this inside this folder, sorry, I'm saying application, it is a folder. So inside this folder, I'll create a index.html file, and I will also create a app.js file. Now inside this index.html, I'll just generate the boilerplate. Okay. Right now I don't need this both tags. I'll just call it heading one, to do application. Okay. Now I'm just gonna close the server that is running on my previous index.html file. Now I'll run this live server. And if you can see, to the application, that's it. Now I will also import the app.js into my index.html. Okay. And I'll make sure I'm just right above the closing body tag. So that is the ideal place where you insert your scripts. Now I will use an src over here, and I'll just use the path where my JS file is being located. Okay, now if I go to my browser, right now nothing has been console logged, so we basically don't know whether the script file has been linked or not. Okay, for that feedback, we'll just try to console log something. Script file imported successfully. Now if I go back, as you can see, I can see the output, which means the script file has been imported. Perfect. Now, yeah, going back, let me just close all other files. We don't need them. Perfect. Now let's go back to the PPT. Now I'm going to show you guys how to use Tailwind in your project. Okay. Now, very first thing is you can import it by using CDN link. Now, what exactly is a CDN? So guys, CDN stands for Content Delivery Network. So guys, Tailwind is basically a software. Okay, it's basically a software that contains many files, many CSS files, many .css files. So all of these files can be of like 5 KB like that. So you basically have to download this inside your project to use it. Okay, I hope you guys got it. Tailwind is just a software that contains a lot of CSS files. It has some specific size. 5 KB is just my estimation, but it can be more like 5 MB or something like that sometimes. I'm not sure about the exact size of the Tailwind file, but you have to download it and use it. But as you can read this, you can import it by using a CDN link. So CDN stands for Content Delivery Network, guys. So if you imagine this is a world, and I'm sorry, my drawing is very bad. So this is a world, and here this is India. You are living in India. CDN is basically the servers that are spread across different parts of the world. That is the main purpose of a CDN is to deliver the content to the end users. Okay, and just like that, Tailwind CSS people, the people who have invented Tailwind, they created a CDN network where it will be easy for the users like us to import CDN, import Tailwind into our web browser by directly, by directly just using the link. Okay, CDN is a very huge thing, guys. It's content delivery network. There's a lot of stuff that goes behind the scenes of how content is being delivered to the end users. It's really fascinating. It's a lot of DevOps concepts there. We will not discuss all about that today, but for now, just have an idea that using a CDN link, we can import that 5 KB or 5 MB file of Tailwind CSS into our project directory directly. Okay, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to Google. Okay, so in the next step, as it says, so in the next step, it says go to Tailwind official documentation or just Google search Tailwind CSS CDN link. Okay, you can go to Tailwind CSS official documentation. So here it is. So this is the official Tailwind CSS documentation, and I have to click on this get started here. Now, so this is how you get started basically, and yep. And if I scroll down, uh, as you can see inside the installation, Tailwind CLI using post CSS, framework guides, there's a lot of things, but we don't care about all of that stuff. Okay, we wanted to do it using the CDN. Okay, I'll just click on play CDN. Now, if you can notice this one, guys, it says add the play CDN script to your HTML file. So we basically have index.html, and here it says I need to add the script file here, right within the head section. Okay. So I just have to copy paste here. That's it. Now the tailwind is being imported to our project. Now let's see the output. So guys, if you can notice, the heading has been changed, right? Now if I go back and basically remove the tailwind link that we just imported, the heading will be like this. So guys, what's happening behind the scenes is tailwind classes are being imported. So this is basically a script that is present at this location, cdn.tailwindcss.com. So guys, this is the entire script of Tailwind. Okay, this could be 5 KB or whatever that is. This has been written by the people at Tailwind CSS. Now behind the scenes, this is being imported into your folder, and that is the reason why your to-do application text is being changed to this one right now. Okay, so that's what's happening behind the scenes. Great. So I hope you guys understood about importing Tailwind CSS into your project directory. Okay. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make this text look much bigger. Okay, to add styles to further give this style to further add more styles to a HTML element, I have to use a attribute called as class, and I have to use something called as text. Now I wanted to increase the size of this font, this text. I will say font LG. Now the font size has been increased. Okay, so guys, everything will be present in the tailwind.css file. Okay, you don't have to memorize text hyphen lg. Okay, you have to go to tailwind css documentation, click on get started. I'll just search for text over here, text or maybe font size. Okay, font size. As you can see, I will just click on font size. And if you read this documentation, it says if you use the class called as text access, your font size will be 0.5 rem, which means which basically translates to 12 pixels. Okay, I'm using text LG, which means my font size will be 18 pixels. Like that, if I use text 5XL, my font size will be 48 pixels. Now let me just copy this text hyphen 5XL and I'll just place it over here. Now my font size just increased. Okay, that is too big. Let me just make it 2XL. Okay. Now let me make it 3XL. It looks better. Now guys, the font styling has to be good, right? So I have to font weight, right? The font weight is bad, so I have to search for font weight. So in order to add font weight, these are all the classes that I can use. If I use font hyphen thin class, the font weight will be 100. Now I want to make the font weight bold, so I'll just copy the class called as font hyphen bold, and I'm just going to give a space over here, and I'll just paste it. I can see. Did I get the output? Yes, I got the output. I got the output as to do application. Perfect, guys. So that's basically how you learn Tailwind CSS. I'm gonna provide you more resources in the upcoming slides, so don't worry. That's it. So that's pretty much everything about importing your Tailwind CSS and playing with Tailwind CSS inside your local project territory. Great. So initially, I thought of designing the interface with you guys because we are already running out of the time. Let me just show you the design that I have made for our project. So Figma is a wonderful tool which is used by designers, web designers. Create prototypes of websites. So I just created a prototype for you guys. So it looks like this. This application interface just last night. I'm just going to add a heading saying tool application. I'm just going to increase the size to 24 or maybe 30, maybe 45 or something like that. And I'm going to make it bolder. That's it. So this is a very basic application. And yeah, so let's try to build this application. So what's happening here is that I'm having a input field, okay, where and somebody can type in the text over here like go play cricket, and they can click on add task. So if they click on add task, the task will be added to the list of items that is present over here. It's a very small application. It is everything is based upon the problem statements that we have solved previously. So there is nothing much to talk about here. Okay, it's a very simple application. Okay, now creating the app design. So since the app design is already ready with us, we will just try to convert that into a good application. Okay, by looking at the design. Great. Now we have this heading section. I'm just gonna remove this. Okay, I'll just keep it like that. Now what happens is that let me just take a look at the design. So I basically have a design like this, guys. So design where I have all of this content like heading, input field, button, and list of tasks. All of this should be wrapped within a division, and this division will be your parent division. Okay, let me just show you what it is. So I'm just going to create a division called as div. Okay, and I'm going to wrap this heading tag within this division. Okay, and I'm gonna give a class name. So right now our background color is dark, right? It is black. So I'm gonna give a class name to the body class, and I'm gonna use. Okay, let me just go to Tailwind official documentation and search for background color. Okay, so in order to change the background color, this is the class name that they have provided. Now guys, I want to make my background color as black. Okay, Zinc 950 is a good choice because it is very close to the application that we are trying to build. Zinc 900 is also good. So I'll just copy that and I'll just paste it here. And if I look at the output, I should see now I can see the output, right? So it looks much better. But this text is being uh, very much close to that one of the background. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna search for font color. Text color. So it is text color. So there's a lot of text colors that are present, but I'll just stick with white, text hyphen white. I'll just copy text hyphen white over here and I'll just paste it within the heading tag. Now the output looks something like this. Now this looks perfect, right? This looks very neat. Great. Now I have to position this text properly. I have to position this text to the center. If you look at the design, where is the design? We have the design here. If you look at this, the text is center aligned. Okay. Now let's see how to do it. Now in order to position the text properly, guys, I have to play with the division, right? I have to position this division properly. Which means this division is going to occupy the entire width, and then I'm going to say height as auto. Okay, and then I'm going to say flex, not flex actually. Let's see the output. Okay, perfect. Now let's say flex call, and justify center. Mm, okay, this should work. Okay, let me just look for the documentation. Center alignment. Okay. Now, guys, if you look at this one, it says I can center align the text content using the grid system and CSS. But since I did not explain you guys about the grid system, it's totally fine. For now, I'll just copy paste some stuff from this one. And so I'm gonna copy paste this thing. Grid call one. Grid calls one, and I'm gonna add a gap of 4. And then I'm also going to add a place center hyphen content center. If I look at the output, okay, and what else? Justify content. Okay, anyways, we'll just come back to that later on. I think there is some issue over here. I'm not sure what's happening. Uh, let's just put it as text center for now. Okay, great. Now, since we already have the heading here, I'll come back to that. Okay, we already have a heading here. We have to create two things. One is an input field, another one is a button. So whenever somebody adds some text inside this input field and click on the button, the text has to be added. So what I'm gonna do is I just want to create an input field, and I'm gonna set the type to text. So which means this attribute basically says the HTML should only accept the text form of content from the end user. Okay. Placeholder, enter the task. Now if I go to look at the output, so I can see the output over here. I can see a good form. Okay, great. And yeah, this is perfect. And now the next thing is I have to add a button. Okay, which basically says add task. Okay, I'm gonna copy the text and place it in between here, and I hope it is. Yeah, I can see that button over here, but it is not visible right now. So let's just wrap all of this within a new division. Okay. Now I'm gonna give a class name here. I'll call it flex. Okay. And I'm gonna add some spacing X. Okay. After making it flex, it looks like this. Okay, great. And yeah, I think this is this is fine. And I'll use item header. Don't worry, I'll explain you guys what's happening here. Okay. Okay, that's perfect. Now like scroll, and I'll also give a class name to this one, BG blue. So that it is visible now. And let me just show you guys how button. Internet is a bit slow right now. Okay, it is taking much longer than I expected. Yes, I can see the buttons UI. So guys, these are the buttons in Tailwind. I can click on get the code to, okay, it's not giving me the code right now. Okay, this looks perfect. Now, so there's a button that I can add. Okay, so this is a very simple button, and let me just show you how it works. So right now the output over here is like this. It's a bit turn off. It doesn't look good, but we can add something over here. Okay, as okay, the color is now white, but we want to make it blue. What is the color that we have in the UI? So the color that we are using here right now is 1D 4EFF. Okay, so now I'm going to PY2. Okay, this looks better, and I also want to add some spacing between this input field and this button. For that, I have to use a class name called a space x4, which basically adds some space. And let me just make this as 500 pixels. Okay, now I think this looks better, right? Great. And I also want to add some uh, space y, or maybe I want to add some margin top as 10. So there is some space margin right above this form. Okay, now this looks better. Now I want to make this button look a bit rounder. Okay, just like how we have it here right now. Okay, so for that I have to use a class name called as rounded hyphen md. Okay, I have to paste it over here, rounded hyphen md. Now this looks a bit very similar to what we have in the UI, and yeah, this looks neat. Class name pxpl2, and this looks nice. Rounded md. Right here, and now I also want to make the background color as zinc 900, so that, and I also want to add some border. So I'll just go to Tailwind documentation so to see how to add a border. Okay, border width. So I can add a border by using border hyphen 2 or border hyphen something like that. So right now I'll use border hyphen 2. Okay, now this looks very neat. Okay, I want the border color to be of this blue color. Okay, now how can I do it? So here on the left hand side, as you can see, there's a heading called as borders, and inside which have border radius, border width, border color. So we wanted border color, right? So I'll just click on border color, and I'll just add border color as border hyphen. Okay, border hyphen. What is the color that we just used? Which is this one. This is the custom color we are using. I'll just copy this color and paste it within this one. And if you can see the thickness. Now it looks awkward, but let's make it 3 pixels. 3 pixels should be fine. Okay, I think this looks very close to what we are trying. Let me just make this a bit more rounder. Text to be white. So I'll just make the text white. Okay, now if I enter, the text is white. Perfect. I think this looks very similar to the UI that we are just trying to create. Okay, great guys. That's awesome. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pass it fast for now because there is a lot of things that we have to cover. So moreover, okay, and height 100 pixels. Height auto. Border hyphen 4. Border hyphen. So I'm basically adding a border with the color of this one that we just created few minutes ago. So it looks like this, but we can make it much better. Trust me. Okay, no worries. Okay. I'm just trying to add a padding X. Let me try to add margin X of 10. This we can fix it. 100 pixels. We fine. Height also some 400 pixels. Okay. Now this should be fine, right? 200 pixels. Let's make it 400 pixels maybe. Okay, this looks better right now. Okay. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make it rounded, or you rounded MD. It looks better. So you basically have to click something, add some text over here, and you have to click on add task, and your task will be added within this one. So inside this one, I just want to create an unordered list, and I'm going to give it a class name of margin top 10 flex justify sign. It looks better right now. And for sample, I just want to add a unordered list with a list item so and so. Text to white, and yes, I think it's happening right now. I also want to add some padding X, like 10. This should be fine. Okay, this is working great, guys. So far it's great. Okay. Yeah, this looks perfect. Okay, so we just basically created an entire to-do application by looking at this UI. Okay, now we are going to add some functionality to this one. Okay, right now nothing will happen even if I just type something and click on add task. So we have to basically add some tasks over here, and by doing so, we will take help of document object model. Okay, so we just basically created an entire to-do application. Now let's take a look at the HTML of the app. So this is a very simple HTML app that I just coded right now. I just did it live before you, but this is the app code that I just wrote few days ago for you guys. Okay, and you can refer to this code later on. But I'll just explain you what's happening here. This is exactly what I just did over here. I just basically created a small application with the UI that I have designed. Okay, I'll just close the UI because it is done already. Now, when somebody adds some text over here and clicks on add task, it should be added. So inside this UI, I just basically have to focus on two elements, guys. Okay, one is when the user enters this text, and the second one is when somebody clicks on this add task. That's it, two things. And third thing is that text, whatever that user enters, has to be shown up in within this field. Okay, now for doing so, we basically have to use a function called as add task. Okay, let me just show you how it looks like. It is an add task function, so here it is. So for the button, we will basically use an on-click operation, and we will pass in a on-click function called as add task. So right now I'm just copy pasting the stuff because I'm running out of the time already. There's so much to discuss. Okay, and then we have what do we have? We basically have to use an ID called as new hyphen task. So whenever somebody that text will be extracted and that can be added to the unordered list of tasks. Okay, that is the second thing. And yeah, the third thing is the ID for the unordered list. So three things: user enters a task within the input field, and user clicks on the button, and that text that the user has entered inside this input text has to be added within this unordered list. So right now the unordered list will remain empty. Okay, inside the script.js, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna clear all of this stuff, and I'm just gonna copy paste the add task that I've just created right now. Okay, I know it's I'm just running late, so that's why I'm just doing this stuff because there is so much to cover. Okay, not add. Great, guys. Okay, that's a bit awkward. So let's say code this evening. Just click on add task. Learn Tailwind. Click on add task. Learn JS. Click on add task. Learn CSS. Click on add task. So I hope this makes sense to you guys. So I just explained you my focus of this to-do application is to explain you guys how to create the UI. Okay, I just created the UI as well, but this function that I've just copy pasted is everything about creating an element. Okay, okay. So if you look at this code, what's happening here is that format document. Okay, this looks better now. So what's happening here is that I just go into this document and I have extracted the get element by ID with the ID name is task hyphen list. So this is the task hyphen list. Right now it is empty. Okay, and I have given it a variable called as task list. That's it. And the second thing is we have to get the value that the user enters within this input field. Okay, within this input field, whatever the value that he enters. So for that, we basically given the input field an ID of new hyphen task. So and then we use the DOM to go into the document and use the get element by ID option to get the task input field with the ID name as new hyphen task, and then we use the property called as dot value. This will basically console log, or this will basically extract the value that the user enters within the input field, guys. Okay, and then we have this if loop, if condition. So why I'm using this if condition, that is because if the user did not enter any task and if he clicks on add task, nothing will happen. Okay, nothing will happen if it is empty. Okay, then nothing should happen, nothing, no empty task should be happening. Now inside this if condition, what I've done is I've just created a new li tag. So I hope I explained you guys about unordered list, right? So li is the list element that has to be we have to create a new li tag. So we just created a new li tag, and we already discussed in the DOM section about how to create a new li tag or new tag in general. Okay, so here I'm using the li text, which means we are just creating a new li tag. Now the text content which within this li tag will be the content that has been entered by the user. Okay, perfect. So yeah, now I want to add some styles. Okay, what I'm doing here is that sorry, so what I'm doing here is that I'm setting the padding to border to gray, rounded, margin top one, text hyphen white. So these are all the styles that are being applied to the list item that has been created. So I have used a method here called as class list that basically adds a class attribute to this li element, and all of these properties will be added to that class as a value. Great. Now we have created the li element, we have fetched the text that has been entered by the user, and now we have to create a new element which is also done, and now we have to append this element. So now at the end, like I told you, we have to append the element using the dot append child. Okay, and the last thing, which is most important thing, is that we basically have to set the input field to empty, guys. Once the user clicks on enter, all of this code will be executed, and at the end, the input text has to be empty. So what if I remove this text? So I'll just click something and enter. So the text still remains the same, right? Now again, the user have to remove this, and again you have to enter a new task. Now that is a very hectic process, right? Now what I'm gonna do is I'll just undo that. Now if I click on add task, that initially whatever that I just added will be removed. So that's all about the to-do application, guys. So I hope you guys understood about the DOM part. So it is mostly about DOM. I know I just go through the lines of code that we just did. Everything we have done in the to-do application has been discussed previously in the DOM section in today's session. Okay, great. Now I think we have come to an end, but I'm going to show you guys about how to proceed further from now on. Okay, so you have to learn more JavaScript, guys. So whatever the JavaScript that I just explained you in the last session and today's session is not sufficient for you to become a good developer, but it is a baseline. Okay, you don't have to worry about learning basics anymore. Okay, now in order to learn more JavaScript, you have to sign up. This is my recommendation. Okay, you can also follow other recommendations on the internet, but this is my recommendation. I have done this. I have learned JavaScript few years ago, and I have done this. Okay, so I have signed up for this 30 days JavaScript challenge. It's an open source challenge. It is a free one. You can just go to Chrome and type in 30 days JavaScript challenge. So you guys will be able to do these challenges after attending my last session and this session. So I made the sessions and you just have to sign in using your email over here. And as you can see, they have already signed up 6,37,000 people for this challenge. And this will be how JavaScript works behind the scenes and how to build good projects actually. So this is a 30-day challenge, 30 tutorials. Okay. And I recommend you guys to go through this one. Okay, you do not need any prerequisite to do this 30 days challenge. In case if you have attended my today's session and the last session, because I just explained you all the basic concepts, and these challenges will be very easy. So it will go from easy to hard, and easy challenges can be done just by following my last session and today's session. That's more than enough. Okay. And then the second thing that I suggest you is go to YouTube 30 projects from the JavaScript 30 coding challenge and 15 projects. A total of 45 projects is more than sufficient for you guys to get started to master JavaScript. Okay. And yeah, you don't have to complete all the 45 projects to be honest, but you need to learn the syntaxes properly and how different things are being placed at different parts of your JavaScript code and how things interact. And that's the main point, guys. It's not about doing number of projects, it's about getting acquainted to the programming language. So that's the reason why I just uh, gave you more resources where they explain you project oriented instead of theoretical oriented. Okay, great. Now guys, what's next? What's next after mastering JavaScript? So far, once you have done those 45 projects, you're already very good with JavaScript right now. So what's next? So the next thing is we have to learn ES6 of JavaScript. So if you have attended my last session or maybe before last session, I don't remember, I explained to you guys about ES6 of JavaScript. So I told you JavaScript is of two types, ES5 and ES6, and ES6 of JavaScript concepts will contain some 2 hours of 2 hours of content. So on the internet, you will find many resources where people will explain about ES6 of JavaScript. You basically will have few concepts like import statements, spread operators, and map functions, and all of those stuff in ES6, symbols in JavaScript. So all of that stuff can be completed in 2 hours, and make sure you also have to practice 3 hours, and that will be a total of 5 hours. So 5 hours of ES6 is more than sufficient. Okay. And the second thing is you have to start learning React.js, guys. Okay. Now you have mastered JavaScript. You have to start learning React.js. Okay. You are done with ES5 of JavaScript with the 45 projects that I just suggested in the previous 2 slides. And then ES6, you can just go through any tutorial on the internet, 2 hours of course and 3 hours of practice. 5 hours of content is more than sufficient. And now you have to start learning React.js. So React.js is one of the popular frameworks in JavaScript. And my course recommendations is, one is the Mosh. Okay. You can go to Chrome browser and search for Mosh React.js course. So this is the first course. So you can just subscribe to this course. The crack will be available, but the crack will be available on the internet. You can just go. I'm saying it openly. You can just go and search for the Mosh React.js course on the internet. You'll just find it. Okay. And yeah, so this is the best course. If you ask me, I learned from this course. So if you guys are interested, you can just go to that course. It's a best course. Okay. And the second course that I recommend is, it's on Udemy. It comes for 389 rupees. And also for this one, I'm saying openly, the crack will be available on the internet. So you guys are CS guys, so you're smart enough. So you, uh, go search for the course title. Popular a lot of content, everything on the internet. Okay, so these are the two courses. Recommendation, you don't have, you have to get all of the stuff on my own for the tailwind, because it's to be honest. Let me just show you guys. And I mean, there are many websites, but oh, actually, I'm at a different place. 18 India. Okay, so this is one of such beautiful websites that has been created with Tailwind CSS. I know because some of my friends have already worked with 18 previously. So I know this website is built using Tailwind CSS and React.js actually. So it's a wonderful website. So you can build such kind of websites. So the valuation for this project is like around 5 lakhs like that. So it's crazy how even static websites are paid in huge demand today. So we'll talk about how to get started with freelancing in just a few more minutes. Okay. So yeah, Tailwind is very much important for you to build complex UIs. Okay. And my course recommendation for learning Tailwind is the NetNinja course on YouTube. It's a free course. I learned from this course. I personally love this course, but you guys can learn NetNinja. So this is the Tailwind course by NetNinja, and you can just open it, and then you can just, yes, you can just go through this course. It's a wonderful course. It's an amazing course. It's more than sufficient for to learn Tailwind. And the second thing is you have to do a real-time project. Okay. For that also you can go to YouTube and you can basically search for something like, what is the project title? Tailwind project Nike website JSM. So if you see this is the project that I was talking about. So after finishing the NetNinja project or NetNinja tutorials, you can just go through this project. It is a wonderful project. NetNinja, it is by JSM JavaScript Mastery, and he explained the best. So you guys can do that project, and it's an awesome tutorial. Okay, and by now you're just done with Tailwind CSS and JavaScript and React.js, and everything is done. Now, what is GitHub, guys? Okay, I'm going to explain this in very simple words. It's the most important thing. Okay, it's basically a social media for developers to share their code. That is one way. Okay, and the second thing is it can be used for so you can use GitHub to build a project with your fellow developers and friends. Okay, your developers can collaborate with projects, and you guys can share your code, and you can build a good project on the internet. Third thing is you can build open source software. Okay, which means you can basically write code and you can make it open source, and you can let other people use your software. And a good example of a open source software is Linux. Okay, and you can also build projects and push to GitHub, and this will serve as your proof of work to your recruiters. So let us say if you build some projects using GitHub, and you can just maybe go to GitHub and upload it and make it public, and during interview time your recruiters will definitely ask you what are the works or projects that you have done. So the best proof that you can show them is the GitHub project that you have uploaded it on your on the public repository on your GitHub account. So that is the best thing you can show as a proof of work, guys. So I highly recommend you learn about Git and GitHub. So in the next slide I'll show you how to learn GitHub. So the best resource, if you ask me, is the free code camp, Git and GitHub crash course. So to YouTube and search for this GitHub video with the best thing that you can learn. There are some complex terminologies like fork, push, pull, and you have to understand those terminologies. Okay, but don't focus on learning the terminologies. Try to understand what's happening behind the scenes by doing projects. Okay, even the project that you have did so far. So if you can go to the project files of start figure out, because I cannot explain everything in this section. So you have to go through this course and see how you can to GitHub, how you can commit changes to your GitHub files, how to clone a repository, what is a repository, and all of that stuff is explained in this tutorial by Free Code Camp. And I highly recommend you guys can go through this YouTube tutorial. Great. Now, before I just explained you about HTML, CSS, and then you have to start taking those next steps and learn React.js as well. So as a freelance front-end developer, you need these skills to make money. So the skills are HTML, CSS, Tailwind CSS, JS, and React.js. So if you are good with all of these contents, guys, all of this, everything, all of this skill set, then you can start earning a gig on the internet. So guys, when I tell you that you have to be good with these skills, I do not mean that you have to understand all the advanced intermediate JavaScript developer, good intermediate Tailwind CSS developer. So intermediate in all of the things will is more than sufficient to become a front-end developer. To get really perfect with the technologies. That is definitely not true. You just have to master the very basic stuff, and you have to build some projects to get those skills to intermediate level, so that you can start building your freelance front-end developer career. That's it. Okay. Businesses. So excuse me. So I just shown you guys the this the 1.8 website that I've just shown you. You can just go through. So when search for business websites for projects using Tailwind, and just try to go through some of the tutorials and follow the projects, and you should be pretty much ready to ready so far to build projects for your clients. Okay, so yeah, now if you're ready, let me show you how this actually works. So now your skill set is done. You're ready. You have all of your projects with you. You have done. You're confident that if some client approaches you and asks you about building a website for his businesses, you can do it from the scratch without worrying about learning a new skill. Okay. Now, how to approach clients for web dev? Because clients are not going to approach you guys. So you have to approach them. That's the best thing you can do. Now, there are a lot of YouTube videos explaining how to get clients, but I'm not gonna go over that stuff. But let me just make it clear for you, okay? People say that you have to approach your college students or your peer members for if they want a website or not. But I highly don't recommend doing that because as a college student, your network consists of a low profiles, which is true, right? So your friends do not need a website. Right. So meaning no one wants a website. So it's hopeless. It's hopeless to just talk to your friends and ask them if they want a website. Okay. It doesn't make sense because your friends do not need a website. Okay. It's quite obvious because they don't need it. Okay. They're just like you. They're learning. Okay. And yeah. So to approach clients directly on day one, from day one, you need to learn to find who actually needs a website. Okay, your target audience is all those people who need a website. Okay, and how do you find your potential audience on the internet? Let me show you how it works. So guys, as yep. So the first thing you need to do is you need to go to browser and open VPN. You need to connect to a VPN, guys. So let me just show you how it works. So right now I have a browser extension called as free VPN for Chrome. I'll turn on my VPN because I'm just worried my internet won't be sufficient because I'm already connected to the MS Teams here. But you can do it. You can just go and connect to a VPN. I hope you guys know about what's an VPN. Okay, it's a virtual private network. It will basically take you to a different location. Your IP will be changed. So you can change the location to USA, Canada, or Australia in order to land, in order to target audience, in order to target clients on abroad instead of India. Okay. Now you have to search for small businesses on Google. It could be anything. You can search for restaurants at that location. You can use a VPN to go to Virginia, and you can just search for small businesses on Google, like restaurants near me. And you can search for businesses that are low rated, like maybe 10 stars, that has 5 reviews or 10 reviews. And you have to do this research, guys. It will take a lot of time. Okay, it will take 4 to 5 days, but you will eventually land a client. Trust me, this tip worked for me, and it will also work for you. But you have to be patient. Okay, you have to find the proper business that do not have a website and that require a website. So if you find a business site that do not have a website, find their contact and email them. See, businesses that are on Google will definitely have a contact. They will provide an email for their audience or their customers to track them or just contact them. So you can use that email to just email them or just contact them whether they need a website or not. So, okay. So if there is already a website for that business, but it really looks bad. Okay, you just searched for a lot of websites for different restaurants in that specific location, but you really feel some of the websites are really bad. Now, what you can do is you can just mail them with a new proposal saying that you can rebuild the website for them, which will increase the traffic. You have to tell the client what what you can do for them. At the same time, you can also tell the client that what value that you can add to their life. Like you have to highlight the points like this will generate your, by rebuilding the website of your restaurant, you can generate more sales on the internet, perform more digital marketing. You can get a lot of SEO. You will have a good presence in your location, and this is how I will do it for you. This will increase your sales this much. You have to estimate these things to your client. Okay, all of this can be done using ChatGPT. You can generate the prompt properly, and you have to. You see, at the end, you have to basically create an email that will basically make the client believe that this is gonna work for them. Okay, and that's up to you. You have to do some prompt engineering, and you can do some ChatGPT stuff and create a beautiful email template, and you can just draft them the email. Okay, now that's it. You have to definitely send at least 4 or 5 emails to different business owners every day to get proper clients, guys. Okay, and now if you hear back from the clients, you need to start preparing a website proposal of 5 to 6 pages PDF with information like technologies to build the website, timeline of the project, deadline and pricing, etc. Okay, so it's basically a PDF proposal of 5 to 6 pages, and you have to create it and send it to the client that replied you back. Okay, now how to make a client proposal for website development? It's very simple. Okay, let me just explain you the first step. You need to create a PDF document with 5 to 6 pages. That we already know, but how to create it? See, guys, Microsoft Word is a great choice, but it's a time killer. Okay, but what's good in 2024 is Figma. Figma is a really good tool. So you just have to go to Figma and yeah, let me show you how it works. So we will use a pre-built template on Figma. Okay, and if you read this line, the fourth point, Figma has a community where designers will share their work to the public for free use. Figma designer, and which is open source. Now all you have to do is go to Google and search for Figma website development client proposal. I'll just do it. Figma website development client proposal template. So I just searched it last night. So I think that's where it's showing up. Okay, you can just go through any of them and can just right click, open them in a new tab. And make sure you follow the guidelines. Like you have to mention the time of the project stuff. So you can click on open in Figma repository. You can just make changes to that. And okay, I think it is taking some time. Yep, so perfect. So this is how it looks like. So 5 to 6 pages of this PDF is more than enough. This proposal is following a different resolution, which is 1440 by 900. You can always stick with 842 by 594, I guess. I don't remember the exact pixel size of an A4 sheet, but you can go with this one as well. So you have to mention the goals as well, offerings. Have to mention your pricing as well, and yep, all of that has been already discussed. So in the previous slide, you will find it. Okay, great guys. So I think see, as a freelance web developer, I have made a lot of money out of this building websites for my clients, and yeah, I think you guys can also do it. It's not that difficult. Okay, so see, at the end, placements matter a lot. So learning web development in 2024 will definitely add a lot of value to your placements. Okay, and that's one thing I need to highlight. I mean, a lot of people tell you that AI will do all of the stuff. They will create websites for you. I'm afraid I have to tell you that it's not possible in next 5 to 6 years, because what's interesting about web development is that new technologies will show up. I mean, if you look at this Figma web application, it is working on the website, right? See, this is basically a Figma website, and this is much advanced technology. See, I can basically edit a template. I can basically export a PDF, and this involves a lot of JavaScript behind the scenes, and which AI cannot actually do. Okay, a lot of backend stuff AI cannot do. AI can do a lot of front end stuff, but it can never do a full stack SaaS application. So even in next 5 to 6 years, I don't think it's gonna happen until AGI is being achieved. But I'm quite doubtful even if AI can even reach a point where it can build a Figma clone on its own from the scratch. So web development is definitely gonna add a lot of value to a resume. So never have a myth in your mind saying that AI is going to replace anyway. Why the hell I have to learn web development? Okay, it's not. That's not how it works. Okay. So guys, that's it. I think we have come to an end of the web bootcamp, and yep, thanks to each and every one of you for joining, and I really appreciate your time and effort for our sessions. And yes, also in the future we will be continuing to make more sessions like this in the future, so you guys get the most benefit out of this. We are doing this for absolutely free, and we provide you with a lot of resources. We just need your active participation in the sessions. Okay, please wait in the session, guys. I will just share you a link. Okay, all right. Just let me share you a link so that you guys can scan that link, scan that QR code, and mark your presence. I hope I am visible. Yep, you can just look at that. Yeah, I hope my barcode is visible so you guys can just scan it. So meanwhile, guys, if you have any questions, I'm ready to take up. Uh, okay, I think the questions is now enabled. You guys can ask questions if you have anything. You guys will receive the certificates from the CSI. So it's a collaboration with Microsoft as well. So you will receive a certificate, Microsoft X CSI, MLSA, Microsoft X CSI, VITAP. So it's a digital certificate. A lot of people are asking me, how is this certificate valuable? Well, guys, so if you have attended some boot camps like this, or in the future, or the boot camp that you just attended, you will definitely receive a certificate. You can just showcase it on your LinkedIn. And you can tag CSI, VITAP, or uh, MLSA, and that is basically one proof that you have been attending a lot of workshops and you are enhancing your skills. So your recruiters will notice those certificates on LinkedIn, and they will notice that you are attending some workshops and building some projects. Okay. The question section is open. You guys can ask questions if you have any. So guys, if you have scanned the QR code, you guys can leave. Thanks for joining, and thanks for sticking with us for the last 5 sessions. So I hope everyone has scanned the QR code. So you guys can leave if you have scanned the QR code. And so somebody is asking me a question. How do you start coding? Please tell us tip to learn coding. See guys, whatever that you are doing so far is coding. Okay, uh, so if you are referring to competitive coding, programming, it is a different thing. Okay, but so in order to get started with competitive programming, you have to start learning a programming language from scratch uh, and understand its syntaxes. That's the first thing. It could be any language. It could be Java, Python, CPP, or even JavaScript. You can also use JavaScript. And the second thing is you have to start learning DSA of that specific language. Okay, DSA is the same, guys. It is the same for all the programming languages. Okay, it's being implemented different ways according to the syntax of that specific language. Okay, and the third thing is you have to start solving problems on lead code or HackerRank or uh, anything. There are many platforms today. CodeChef is also one good platform. And after that, fourth thing is that you have to attend contests. Uh, for that, there's a good platform called as Code Forces. There you can just sign up and you can attend contests every weekend. You'll have contests, and there you will receive ranking based upon uh, your your code and your optimization, how optimized your code is, and based on that you'll get a review and you'll get a rank. Worldwide, a lot of people will participate in contests. So definitely, if you excel in those contests, the chances that you'll get a job is very high. So that is about coding, competitive programming and coding. But if you want to get started with web development, everything that we have just discussed so far is about the basics of web development. You can just go through our sessions previously or any other resource that is present on the internet. You can just go through them. And I have also provided with you guys with the next steps that you have to take with learning JavaScript and Tailwind and React.js and the course recommendations. You will definitely become a great web developer with those resources. You can trust me on that. Well, if you have any questions, guys, you can ask me or you can leave the session. We can end the session. Make sure you have scanned the QR code and you uh, filled that Microsoft form. Okay, Ashita, can we end the session?
Yeah, I think I'll end the session.
Okay, thank you guys.